Hi, it's a daily experience video about a day a few days ago. But after uh, the scene uh, where I was like crying hard watching The Shack. Many times when I retreat and when I like block all the happenings in my life and I just spend my days in silent contemplation. I I start to feel like sad for no particular reason, and a lot of like bad things come to the surface, and so much so that sometimes I'm discouraged that am I doing something that wrong? Am I heading the right direction? Am I going backwards? So I start to doubt everything because of the terrible thoughts I have. And sometimes I have an amazing day when I experience God in creating together, or when I cook, and I can experience God in walk and in all of those things. And when I sit down in silent contemplation, I all of a sudden I feel terrible, and I was like, "What's going wrong? Like, what is the thing I do like that much bad?" And yeah, I was like, sometimes it can be hard contemplation, and that's why most people don't do it. Because when you are in silence and there are no like happenings, all the things all the things that had been suppressed before come to the surface, and you really feel like running away from them. Like, oh, I don't really know how to do contemplation. I'm not good at it. I'm starting to feel worse than I used to, so I'm definitely doing it bad. So you just quit. And most people quit, like, and I quit most of the times because of that. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and then I just realized that it happens to everyone that wants to learn silence with God. Um, but for me, it was like, oh, maybe I'm depressed again. Like, I have a history of depression, and maybe, is it coming back, or what's going on? And now it's just the enemy trying to like convince me that there's something wrong with me so that I would stop contemplation. That's it. And for someone else, it's something else. You know, some other lies, some other doubts. Um, so all that was sad because um, I wanted to like you to see that I do struggle with things at times. Um, and there was a day when I hit the bottom. Like, I was having so terrible thoughts. I was like, maybe I used to feel better when I was depressed. Like, it's just it's not just that I don't feel God. I just feel terrible. And then I was like really condemning myself. Like, I don't think about God. I don't spend the time with Him that I originally offered to Him. And so yeah, it was bad. And the next morning I felt like even my blanket was loving me. Like, everything was beautiful. Like, I woke up, and one of my viewers visited me and brought me like a lot of like gifts, and paid for things I um, she didn't even need to pay for. And I was just being loved, and I could publish a video that I always wanted to publish. And and I just corrected my book material, and I was like really enjoying it, and I had an amazing meal, and I was just like, I had so much joy the whole day. I couldn't like realize the cause of it. Of course I knew that it was the presence of God, but it was so shocking after days of struggle. And I was listening to some good old Hillsong from the 90s. I'm not sure it's for everyone. It's old gospel music, but I love it. Maybe it's not good. I can't really decide because I have so many great memories from my childhood experiencing God while listening to those songs that every time I hear them, I'm just undone. So I was listening to them, and after a while I felt like I must stop working and start dancing. Like, I'm not a dancer. I would never dance in front of other people. And sometimes I do when I'm really crazy and very drunk. But I don't love like showing off myself. And I was like so full of joy. I had to like release that energy. Like, and there were times when I like really saw Jesus dancing with me, and that it was like very much full of presence. But there were times when I was just simply like enjoying myself and enjoying that I'm free to dance and free to make stupid moves. And for hours I was dancing, and then I was working a little bit more, and then I felt like dancing again. So I spent like most of the afternoon and the night dancing. And yeah, there was so much joy in me. I had to express it. I really loved it. Really, really, it was like such a gift from God. Like, after all those doubts and all those bad days when I didn't feel God, when I was like, not just didn't feel God, it was like I was having terrible thoughts. It's absolutely okay for me, like, not to feel anything, just being silent with Him, but to have like terrible thoughts for days, it's just, oh, am I obsessed or something? I wasn't thinking that, but I was thinking like, do I need a doctor now? Like, maybe I need a therapist. Yeah, after those days, I was like, oh, yeah, it was so good. It was, and the more I moved, the more joy I felt, and the more joy I felt, the more I felt like dancing. And I really understood why God, like, made those commands of like, you should celebrate and rejoice and have feast days and all that in the Old Testament. Because if you don't realize that you need it, like, it's better for you if you do it out of command, because it does good to your physical and mental health. Like, the more I danced, the more I felt free, and the more I was aware of God. But also, I just enjoyed it physically. It was good, and I felt like my soul is like also like experiences the joy when my body feels, but it also, some sense, it is spiritual, but not always in a spiritual in the way that I'm dancing with God. It's just, I enjoy that I have a body and I can use it. Yeah, so that was it. And for long weeks, it was the first day when I felt like I spent the whole day in the presence of God, in one way or in another, like in a way of like being aware of Him, or just simply having joy in life. But there, all the time, I had a certain sense of His presence, and it was so great to fall asleep like that. Next day I was talking to a friend of mine. Actually, I was like listening to the same songs and I was dancing inside as I was watching the trees passing by as I was traveling to a place where I was invited to minister. And I was like, well, having the same joy, but I had to like contain myself. And a friend of mine like made me realize, like, why do you identify yourself with the phases when you feel doubtful or unwell, instead of the phases when you feel awesome and experience God? Like, you have a bad day and you think this is who you really are, and your good days are the exceptions. But the contrary is the truth. You are healthy and you love God and you know Him and you love experiencing Him. And this is who you are. And sometimes you have doubtful days and it's okay, but this is not who you are. And it is so not logical to identify yourself with the bad days, even if you have more of them than the good days, because it gives you perspective. Like, if I feel like I'm doing wrong with God and in my relationship with God, then I start to view all my good days from that perspective. Like, oh, they aren't that good either. But when I'm out of those like doubtful moments, and I know who I am, I just look back at the dark phases and I feel like, oh, there was actually nothing. There was just a stupid thought. So yeah, looking from underneath makes things look much bigger, and the problems and the bad things than they actually are. But looking at things from above makes things look way smaller. And I don't say it's all about the perspective, but it's all about the perspective. Like, and it's all about what you identify yourself with. And yeah, I just realized that it is such a nonsense that to think that I'm my worst days and I am my worst feelings. Actually, I am better than my best feelings. That is the truth about me. And yeah, it was so good to realize that. And it was so good to dance through a whole day. It was so much fun. And I'm planning to continue that even tonight. There's some dance energy left in me for tonight as well. God bless you guys and have a great dance as well. Kisses to you.